A lot of people think movement only counts if it looks like exercise, a workout, a run, a gym session, or a perfect routine. But that way of thinking causes people to miss something really important. Some of the most useful movement in life does not look impressive at all. It looks like walking, carrying, cooking, playing with your kids, moving around the house, getting out to the shops, exploring a park, using your body while life is already happening. And if you keep ignoring that kind of movement, you can end up believing you're doing nothing when actually life has been giving you opportunities all along. That is why this matters. Because play and daily life count as real movement far more than most people realize. A lot of people have been taught to think about movement too narrowly. If it is not formal exercise, it does not count. If it is not structured, it doesn't count. If it is not intense, it does not count. But your body does not think like that. And your ancestors did not think like that. Humans hunt, humans gather, and humans create the world around them. That matters more. So your body responds to pressure, variation, rhythm, movement, carrying, reaching, balancing, walking, bending, and using yourself through the day. That is why Fit to Thrive takes daily activity so seriously. Not because formal exercise is bad, it's because ordinary life is where movement is actually lived. One of the biggest shifts for me was realizing that health was not only something I needed to schedule outside life, it could be built into life, into how I moved through a day, how I walked, how I played, how I carried things, how I cooked, how I explored, and how I used my time with family. Once I saw that, movement stopped feeling like one more burden I'd failed to complete. It became something I could recognize, I could use and build from in real life. That changed a lot. Because when daily life starts counting, people stop feeling like they're always behind. The first thing to understand is that moving is bigger than exercise. Exercise is one form of movement. It is not the only form. A lot of people need that reminder because they've accidentally learned to dismiss everything that does not look like a workout. But your body is still responding when you walk, climb stairs, stand more, carry shopping, bend down, play on the floor, move around a kitchen, explore somewhere new, spend time outdoors using yourself. That will create real input. And real input matters. And that becomes even more important when you look at how real life actually works. Most people do not live inside an ideal exercise plan. They live inside ordinary days. Work, family, friends, mess, pressure, responsibilities, time limits. That's why daily activity matters so much. Because if your whole movement strategy depends on perfect conditions, it becomes quite fragile. But if movement can live inside the day you already have, now it becomes much easier to repeat. That is the deeper point. Real movement is not only what happens in the best 30 minutes of the day. It is what happens across the whole shape of the day. And that's also why play matters more than people think. A lot of adults treat play as optional, something extra, something childish, something less serious than proper exercise. But play often involves exactly the kinds of movement human beings need more of. Variation, balance, reaction, exploration, coordination, joy, energy, being present inside the body. And because play feels lighter, it's often easier to repeat. That matters. Because what is enjoyable is often more sustainable, and sustainable movement does more for a life than impressive movement that disappears after a week. And this is where the emotional shift comes in. One of the reasons people struggle with movement is not laziness. It is that movement has become disconnected from life. It feels like punishment, correction, another thing on the list, another standard they are failing to meet. But when movement becomes part of life again, something softens. A walk becomes useful. A day out becomes supportive. Cooking becomes active. Play becomes valuable. A family trip to the park becomes more than just something to do. Now movement starts to feel alive again. And when it feels alive, people usually do more of it. This is exactly why Fit to Thrive talks about things like walking and cooking and shopping, watching, days out, parks, daily activity. Not because they're random lifestyle topics, but because they're places where life is actually lived. And if healing habits are going to work in real life, they have to show up there. That is why daily life counts. That is why play counts. That is why ordinary movement matters. Not because it replaces everything else, but because it gives people a more human place to begin. And once you start seeing this way, something else changes too. Because then you stop asking only how to exercise, how to fit exercise into life. And you start asking how life itself can begin helping you heal more than it hurts you. And that is where the bigger daily activity picture really starts to open up. So watch the next video where I show how ordinary daily activity quietly shapes your health more than most people realize, and why the body responds to the whole day, not just the best part of it.